How's your Taiwanese level, like on a scale from 1 to 10?
Oh, my Taiwanese level, I feel like at least a 9. Growing up, I grew up with my grandma.
Yeah.
She was also very, very Taiwanese. 我想要从这是因为我想要较多人知影台湾。我爱台湾，爱台湾加油！ Hi, I'm Tiffany Tseng, Zhang Fangyu, and I'm the 2024 Miss Asia USA, and I'm currently also a student at Stanford University. Majoring in engineering management and human-centered design. Well, both my parents are actually Taiwanese. My mom immigrated to the US when she was just 1 year old, and my dad immigrated here when he was about 15, 16. And so my mom is already very like Americanized, right?
I can tell.
Yeah. But growing up, I grew up with my grandma.
Yeah.
She was also very, very Taiwanese. But I don't know why, for some reason, I just didn't resonate as much with my Taiwanese heritage until much, much later in my life, until probably during high school or after high school.
Okay.
Yeah, and even though I can't say that, because I grew up in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is a very, there's a lot of Taiwanese people there. I think for everyone's different, right? Like for me, I knew I was Taiwanese at heart. I always knew that because I grew up in the beginning, right? Because I grew up in a very Taiwanese family, right? My grandma, grew up with my grandma speaking Taiwanese to me, so I always spoke Taiwanese with her at home. Even my dad, when I was small, he would always be like, every night, he would be like, repeat after me, I love Taiwan.
Why Taiwan?
Oh, I Taiwan, yeah. He was like, say, repeat after me. So at heart, I feel like I always knew I was Taiwanese. I just didn't know what that meant.
Your experience in United States is like positive, or did you face any difficulties, or maybe a bit of struggle as a Taiwanese American?
I think one of the biggest struggles, because when I was smaller, I was actually discriminated for my Asian heritage. I can't say specifically.
Really? Is that bad?
Yeah. I actually played the guzheng, and every year I would perform it for my talent show at school, right?
Talent show? Okay.
Yeah. And there was this one instance, so I had a few friends,
Okay.
who were basically like, well, after I played 1 year, they're like, and the next year they're like, oh, are you gonna continue to play that ugly Oriental instrument?
That's straight?
Yeah, that's straight. Yeah. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, what? Like, and at that time, I guess, because I never really experienced like discrimination that much before, it really made me feel ashamed of who I was.
But how did you face that, or how did you share this experience with your family? Or
I came home crying to my mom.
Really? Like hugging me.
Yeah, like help me. What do I do?
Yeah.
But yeah, because genuinely, I was really just like, it really pushed down my confidence, right? Like everything in general. And so that experience was a little bit traumatizing, where like in the future after that, I became ashamed of my Asian heritage. And I think that made me want to become more American. So that was the experience I had when I was younger.
Okay.
Right. But then I was able to sort of turn that around starting from high school, where I told myself I realized I was being Asian wasn't something that I was proud of at that time, and I wanted to change that, because it became such a negative experience to the point where I almost lost my own voice. It became really difficult for me to talk in school as well, like in general. And so starting from high school, I just started to put myself in different like leadership positions. I started the Taiwanese Affinity Club at school, and slowly but surely started to work on myself, that part of myself. So I competed in Miss Taiwanese American in 2022. It was a 2-month-long training process, and some of the reasons I wanted to compete in the pageant was because, well, first of all, like I said, I wanted to become more connected to my Taiwanese heritage, because at school you never really learn Taiwanese history, culture, or any of that. So that was something I wanted to explore more for myself.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it was that experience. Pageantry was a whole different realm than what the previous experiences I had, because in high school I was very much academic driven, right? And so I thought pageantry was a different experience where I could, be more connected to my Taiwanese heritage while having a completely, contrasting experience.
As a Stanford student, very smart. Versus the pageant.
Yeah, because there's that stereotype where people think beauty queens are not intelligent, right, or smart. Or I've heard a lot of the stereotype where people are like, oh, beauty pageants are not respectable.
From the hater comments, or they just talk to you in person?
I think from talk to me in person, from both standpoints. It's just a stereotype. There's a huge stereotype, and so that's actually the exact stereotype where I'm trying to break, right? Is that, women can be both beautiful, and smart and capable.
You see Taiwan right now?
Well, I see Taiwan as, I think one of the most special parts of Taiwan is how diverse we are, and I think that was mainly shaped by our historical periods. We were constantly colonized again and again by different cultures.
Again and again.
And one of our main things that I like to showcase is how progressive we are. We're a democratic country. We had first female president already. Our technology developments have been phenomenal. And so that's really what I like to showcase of Taiwan when I introduce it to people. Actually, an experience I had when I was Miss Taiwanese American, this was one of the last events that I attended during my reign, was it was the largest 4th of July Huntington Beach parade. And when I was on the float, and it was a very American audience, actually. And when I was on the float, there were so many people there on the sides being like, oh, stay safe, Taiwan. We support you, blah, blah. And so it was very clear to me that people knew of Taiwan. A lot of people at least had heard of Taiwan before and knew of it,
Sometimes in my videos, even I say Taiwan is a country, I can get some haters comment, But what about in United States? So for example, if you meet a Chinese person occasionally, or maybe some people from the overseas, do you think this topic is very sensitive to talk to or to share as a Taiwanese American?
I think it's still a very controversial.
It's still
a very controversial topic. And you have to be very careful with how you go about saying what you say to especially in a public sense. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do Miss Asia USA and go on to the next step, was because I wanted more people to know about Taiwan and to bring it more into the mainstream, because I think a lot of the times us Taiwanese, we like to stay within the Taiwanese community or within stay in a bubble. And so I think one of the most important things for me was to really bring Taiwan on an international level, and that was one of my main goals.